Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of Chat with Chhaya. Today we are making a Tres Leches cake, which means 3 milks. And I got this recipe, I adapted it from Taste Better from scratch. I like to add things, change things around, play with the taste, make it kind of your own, which I highly suggest you do with this version of it as well. Take it, it's for a friend's birthday, I'm very excited. You're actually going to get to see the birthday, when does that happen? But I will take you, we're going to try the cake there, but right now we're going to get started. And we're going to get started with our dry ingredients, which you always want to combine first and then do your wet ingredients. It's a process, stick with the process because it really will make a big difference with the cake. Let's get started. So you're going to get started with 1 cup of flour. Now I like to use whole wheat. This is white whole wheat. You can use any one that you like, it depends, but I really like 1 cup of whole wheat. I think that makes the difference. So next we are going to use 1 1/2 teaspoons baking powder. Make sure it is not baking soda. It does make a difference in how your cake will turn out. So we are going to use 1 1/2. I have a heart shape, so it's loose. As long as it fits that amount, it should be all right. You just want to make sure you have that exact one. For this, it's half a heart. Perfect. We're also going to need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. It's going to be loose. There we go. Those are our dry ingredients. You can loosely combine them. We'll be mixing them really well later. And that's what it should look like. All right, our next step here is you're going to need 5 eggs and you're going to separate them. I got the lighter bowl so you can tell where your whites will go, and darker bowl is where your yellows will go. And yes, you do have to separate them. Yes, it makes a big difference. So we're going to separate eggs here. You can either get a separator, or I like to just pour it out in here and I go back and forth and just kind of catch as much as I can. Get out as much whites as I can so we don't waste anything. Go back a couple of times. You'll have gotten as much as you can. And we're going to continue to do that for the rest of the eggs. So this is what your eggs will look like when they're separated out. Now you're going to take the bowl with these egg yellows. You see this color here? You're going to add about 3/4 cup of sugar. Now I don't like to add that much sugar. I think it's too much. So I will do a 1/2 cup of sugar, which I think is fine. You can not even fill it all the way, which is okay. And I use cane sugar because if you're using white refined sugar, it's processed. And it goes through bone char, which means it goes through beef and pork, which is never fun to have. Okay. There you go. And then we're going to take what we have here and we are going to mix it until we get a pale yellow color. So keep an eye on what this looks like. It'll be pale yellow as soon as we mix it. So the egg whites that you had from earlier, we are going to pour them into a bowl, a mixing bowl. You can either do it by hand blender, so you can do it like this. I prefer to use my KitchenAid. I happen to like that one a lot. That's what I'm going to use. So once you've got your egg whites here, you're going to have a 1/4 cup of sugar, which you're eventually going to pour in. You're going to get these whipped so that they form stiff peaks. Start on about a 2 or 4. Slowly add your sugar. You want to see these peaks forming. Do you see that peak right here? Right there. That's the one we're looking for. That means that our egg white sugar combination is ready. So after you get your egg yellows all beat up, you're going to add a 1/3 cup of milk. Now some like to use whole milk. I like to use skim milk. I think it's just fine. It tastes just fine at the end. So you're going to add that and you're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Your teaspoon of vanilla, you're going to add it and mix it all together. So after we combine our egg yellow and milk and vanilla combo, we are going to pour it gently over our flour mixture from earlier. And we are not going to stir it thoroughly. It is just a gentle pour over, gently stirring it, barely combining it. We're going to take our egg white mixture and we're going to fold it into our batter, but again loosely. And this is an important step in the Tres Leches cakes. It gives you the fluffiness texture that you were looking for in this cake. So we are going to combine that in here. So you see this egg white mixture is easy. It slides in. We're going to get it into our bowl and then we're just folding in. Look how easy that was. Super easy. What we're doing is we're just going to fold that into our mixture, and that's what gives it the fluffy texture that you're going to have. So it goes from all that powder, the egg whites we did separately, the egg yolks we did separately, and then you can see, do you see that pretty color coming through? This is the foundation of our cake, and the rest is really going to be just topping. It's easy, lightweight, it's going to taste delicious. Okay, so next, after we have our batter, we are going to pour it into a pan of your choice. You need to grease it because it will stick. So please, please, please grease your pan. Look at this pretty color coming through. And see the fluffy texture? It's almost like an angel food cake texture in it, and that comes from the separation of the eggs. If you combine it, you wouldn't get this texture. And the whipping that we did It's really, really good for that kind of texture. I'm going to put your cake in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. You're going to check on it when the toothpick comes in the center and it's clean. That means it is all cooked. So we're going to check on it in that time. Okay, so we've taken our cake out of the oven. We got to allow it to cool. I always take it out of the glass pan because if you don't, then it stays warmer for a little bit longer. In the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to combine our tres leches, which are 3 milks, which is our regular fat-free milk, evaporated fat-free milk, and condensed fat-free milk. We're going to combine it into a bowl. I am going to start with a 1/4 cup of our fat-free milk. That'll be the first one that we put in to the bowl. Next, and I have a spatula here because what happens is this milk tends to be sticky with the condensed milk. So this is our evaporated milk. I use fat-free. It does not alter the taste in the slightest of the cake because there's already a lot of sweetness. You aren't missing stuff by getting the full fat and the creaminess as well. So you're gonna get this. And what we're gonna do is I'm just scraping out the bottom, whatever's there with the spatula. These things really help get the most of the milk, and believe me, this may look like a lot of milk that we're using, but it gets soaked up so fast into your cake. So it's important that we get everything out. Next, we're doing our condensed milk. Now, condensed milk is sticky. Look at that texture. It's already creamy. We're just gonna get all of that out into our milk. And look at this pretty orangey color that it has in here. Isn't that pretty? Now, when you're stirring this, look at this. Condensed milk is ribbony. So you wanna stir it so that that all gets absorbed on in. So I like to cut the cake in half to give it enough time in the fridge when you're cooling it to really soak up the milk. And I put it on 1/2 of a tray like this. And the reason I do that is that you can monitor how much you can soak into here and how much you can soak in on the other side of the cake. You're gonna cut it in about roughly half because we're gonna stack it and layer the frosting in between. So we're gonna do the same thing with this remaining second half, and we're gonna pour some milk over it. So with this half that you have, make sure your cake is cool completely. You're gonna wanna stab it. If you're a little enraged about something, you stab this cake, and what we're doing is we're creating little holes and little pockets because this is where your milk is gonna go. Then we are taking our milk from before, right? And you're gonna pour a little bit out into the cake. You see how it's immediately getting pulled in to the cake? The cake is absorbing this. So we just poured a bunch of milk onto this cake. You can see there's a little bit here, but this cake is going to absorb all of that. So that's what the holes that we made inside this, it's just gonna sit for about an hour in your fridge and it's gonna absorb everything. Your 2 cakes are gonna look just like this. They're gonna have a little bit of milk in them, but by the time it's done cooling, it'll absorb all of that. So depending on the room you have, you're gonna put this cake for 1 hour into your fridge or about 30 to 45 minutes into the freezer checking on it. What you're looking for is that the milk in the cake is gonna get absorbed. So now we are going to use a pint of heavy whipping cream. Use your favorite brand. It does not have to be anything fancy or crazy. It is just enough that you're gonna get going into here. We're gonna use this tool if you're using a mixer again because it really is the best tool for getting all of your whipped cream whipped, and this is gonna be your topping. So make sure that you're gonna set it on a good speed. Start low, you can always work up to higher, but if you go really high with this liquid, you're gonna end up with a mess all over the place. And I like to shake this out because, as you know, I do not like to waste things. So if you do this, look how much more of this is coming out. Like, this is all cream that you lock it. Start low. This is the texture that you want. It's similar to our egg whites. When you whipped it, you want it to be whipped cream. Look at that. That's beautiful. So we have our cake that's here and it's absorbed most of that liquid. Remember, it was soaking in it. And I like to leave a little bit at the bottom here because it makes the cake taste so good. The cake is amazing with a little bit of this in here. And we're gonna dole some of this out onto the cake. And don't be shy, we got a good amount going in there. And what you're gonna do is you are literally gonna frost it using your whipped topping. And you wanna cover it. This is gonna be a double layered cake, so you can have a thinner layer in the middle. You're not gonna see the top of that, which is totally fine. But you do want your cake to be evenly frosted. So this is our second layer. Now, you have to be okay with getting a little bit messy, because this is a little bit messy, but you're going to take your second cake. It is so wet and cold and spongy, I wish you could feel it. And you're gonna do a quick flip on it. Okay? So that's there. You can see that this piece, sometimes it gets wet, a little soggy. You're gonna add it on, and no one can tell because it's gonna become a part of your masterpiece when you add a little bit of the texture. A little bit of the syrup I like to pour on over, and then we're gonna frost this rest. I like to get a big chunk on because it's easier to work with. You can worry about the rest of the frosting later. We are just gonna start covering the cake. Guys, this is your cake. This is it. You can decorate it with a little bit of cinnamon if you prefer. I think it adds a pretty brown color to this cake and it adds some of the good flavor to it. Cinnamon actually helps spike blood sugar after you eat, which is probably a good thing after this cake. I'm gonna go take it to the party. Let's see how they serve it up and we're gonna enjoy some cake. All right, Seth, so what do you think your birthday present is?
But from you?
Yeah.
I think it might be something delicious.
What do you think it is?
Tres Leches.
That's right. Seth, try the Tres Leches. What do you think?
Delicious.
So we are eating the Tres Leches cake here at the party. You've seen the birthday boy and his reaction to it. This is what it looks like. We're gonna take a bite here, see what it tastes like. Good as ever. Less sugar, still tastes really good. Fat-free milk, it's excellent. Try some next time you make it. Let me know what you think. Share, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think.